Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really digging into something fascinating based on the sources you shared with us. It's all about perspective, character, and, well, challenge.
That's right. And our goal here, really, is to boil down the wisdom that helps you shift your focus, away from that immediate sort of knee-jerk reaction to pressure.
Yeah, moving towards a more deliberate, long-term view instead.
Exactly. And this view, as these sources really argue, it changes difficulty from just this obstacle you dread into something that actually helps you grow personally.
It reminds me immediately of that Jamie Harvey quote, the central paradox here. If you look short, you can't see long. But if you look long, you can see short and long.
That's powerful.
That ability to kind of hold both things, the current problem and the bigger picture, that's really the skill we're trying to get at today, isn't it?
It is, and it's fitting, as you noted from the sources, that we're tackling this today, September 22nd.
Oh.
It feels like a good time for clarity.
Clarity, right.
Because when you stretch out that time frame, suddenly today's struggles, they just look different. They get context.
So the common thread is basically the biggest growth, the stuff that really shapes who you are. It comes from seeing life through this lens of eternity, not just the day-to-day grind.
Precisely. When that time frame extends like indefinitely the setback you're facing right now, it just loses its power to define you.
Okay, so let's unpack that a bit, this eternal lens. When we talk about seeing life through eternity, we're jumping straight into some pretty deep philosophical water, aren't we?
We are. You've got mortality versus permanence, and you see thinkers like Tolstoy, Pascal, even insights drawn from Heraclitus, all kind of circling the same core idea.
And what's really striking is how often they use metaphors about buildings, or rather, temporary places to live.
Yes, like that Indian wisdom Tolstoy mentions. The soul isn't in the body like it's a permanent house, but more like a tent. Just a temporary spot.
A temporary tent. I like that. It really frames our circumstances, our jobs, our health situations, our finances as, temporary shelters.
They're transient. And Pascal builds on this, right? He reflects that life is basically just remembering a really short day we spent visiting this world.
It's so fleeting. But somehow it's in that exact fleeting space that our character gets built.
And that contrast, the temporary versus the permanent, that's what gives us the perspective we need. Heraclitus touches on this mortal people live only moments, but the soul believes in eternal things.
It operates on a different time scale.
It expects to live for eternity.
Yeah.
And that belief, that sort of inherent sense of permanence inside us, that's the anchor we use when the temporary stuff gets rough.
Okay, but here's a potential issue, maybe. If we focus too much on the eternal, does it risk minimizing real immediate pain? Like losing your job is devastating. Telling someone, oh, it's just a temporary tent, that could feel pretty dismissive, couldn't it?
That's a really important point. And it's about how you use the metaphor, right? It's not about ignoring the pain or pretending it doesn't hurt. It's about understanding where the pain is actually coming from. Tolstoy has this brilliant analogy. He used it for death. But honestly, it works for any big temporary setback. He says the crisis moment is like the destruction of the glass through which I look at this world.
The glass breaks.
Right. And this is the key part. It's not the destruction of the eye itself.
Ah, okay. I think I get it. The glass is the temporary thing, the job, the relationship, the specific situation. It shatters.
Yeah.
It hurts.
It can shatter dramatically.
But the eye, that's your core. Your wisdom, your ability to learn, your resilience, that remains, it's still there, ready to look through a new lens, maybe.
Exactly. Think about that job loss again. Or maybe failing a really important exam. That specific situation, that's the glass shattering. Now, if you define yourself by that glass, well, then you're crushed when it breaks.
You feel like you're broken.
Right. But if you see yourself as the eye, the fundamental ability to observe, learn, adapt, look for new angles, then the pressure eases up. Because your actual core value, your true self, it isn't damaged by the glass breaking.
So this perspective kind of puts the struggle in its place. It stops temporary problems from leaving permanent scars on your character.
It contextualizes them. It keeps them from defining you.
Okay, that makes sense. So, shifting gears slightly, if our character, this enduring I, is living inside this temporary tent, the next question is, how do we actually make that I stronger? How do we train it to see clearly, even when the glass is cracking or the tent is shaking?
Well, now we step into the gymnasium. This is classic Stoic thinking. If circumstances are temporary, then challenges aren't, like punishment sent from above.
They're not personal attacks.
No. They are purely, strictly opportunities for development. The resistance is the training.
And Epictetus gives us that great metaphor, doesn't he? The sparring partner.
The sparring partner, yeah. When a challenge hits you, he says, remember, it's like your trainer matched you with a younger, tougher sparring partner.
The trainer isn't trying to beat you up.
No, they're trying to sharpen you. Why? Because, as Epictetus says, becoming an Olympian takes sweat. You don't get strong fighting easy opponents.
That resistance has a purpose. The tough match is the workout. And the soreness, the difficulty, that's just a sign that growth is happening.
Absolutely. And you see this same idea echoed in modern discipline, too. Think about General MacArthur's words at West Point, engraved right there in the gym.
Oh, right. Upon the fields of friendly strife are sown the seeds that upon other fields on other days will bear the fruits of victory.
Exactly. The practice struggles, the friendly strife, prepare you for the real tests later on.
The problem is, though, when you're right in the middle of that strife, maybe it's a really hard project at work or you're facing a big financial disadvantage, the short view reaction is just frustration.
Right, Kelly. Or feeling like it's unfair, feeling slighted. Or worse, you just give up and find an easier game to play. Something that makes you feel good immediately, flatters the ego.
So that moment of difficulty presents a critical choice. Do we see the disadvantage? Maybe we lack a skill or don't have the resources as a chance to dig in, learn, get stronger?
Or do we see it as an excuse to back off? The long view perspective, the one we're talking about, demands you step towards that resistance.
Because the real value isn't always just hitting the goal.
Often it isn't. Like E.L. Konigsberg observed, often the search proves more profitable than the goal. The change, the transformation, it happens during the struggle, not just when you cross the finish line.
The character you build while you're pushing through, that lasts way longer than the temporary win you might achieve.
That's the enduring part. That's the I.
Okay, this is a great bridge then, because it takes us from this sort of philosophical acceptance of difficulty into everyday action. How do we actually apply this long perspective, this focus on character, in our daily choices? In how we lead, what we value, what we say yes or no to?
I think we have to start by getting clear on what kind of control we're actually after. Ross Perot made this really sharp distinction.
Oh, yeah.
He said, inventories can be managed, but people must be led. Think about that. Management is about controlling outcomes, maximizing efficiency, minimizing risk, like managing stock in a warehouse.
Okay.
When we desperately try to control all our external circumstances, trying to avoid any discomfort, any uncertainty, Perot can say we're basically treating ourselves like inventory, just things to be managed.
Okay, so leadership then, that's different. That's the internal work.
Leadership is about defining your values, your purpose, and choosing your direction, regardless of the external conditions blowing around your temporary tent.
Can you give an example?
Sure, let's take health. Managing your health might look like, say, meticulously counting every calorie, aiming for a specific number on the scale. That's managing a metric.
Right, focusing on the external outcome.
But leading your health might mean defining a core value. Maybe it's vitality or strength or long-term well-being, and then making lifestyle choices that consistently support that value, even if the scale doesn't move exactly how you want it to right away.
Ah, so leadership focuses on the I, the internal compass, while management is focused on controlling the glass, the external situation.
You got it. And if leadership is about choosing that internal value over the external outcome, then Einstein's advice really clicks into place, doesn't it?
Remind me.
Try not to become a man of success, but rather try to become a man of value.
Right. Because success is often external, maybe temporary, depends on stuff we can only try to manage.
Exactly. But value, that comes from your character, your contribution. That's developed internally during the struggle. That's where you lead yourself.
And this choice we make, moment to moment, am I managing or am I leading? Am I chasing success or building value? It gets blocked. There's one big barrier.
According to Gandhi, yes, just one main enemy. The enemy is fear.
Fear. Makes sense. Fear drives that frantic need to manage, to control outcomes, to play it safe.
Whereas courage is what allows leadership. It's the willingness to pick the harder path, the path of value, even when the easier path of immediate comfort looks tempting.
Okay, so this brings us down to the really practical bit, maybe the hardest bit, the daily practice. If fear makes us want to say yes to everything that seems safe or makes us look good, how do we actually make space for courage, for leadership?
Well, surprisingly, maybe. Michael Jordan gives us a clue here. He said, to learn to succeed, you must first learn to say no.
That feels backwards, doesn't it? We usually think success comes from saying yes to opportunities.
We do. But think about it. If you're constantly saying yes to things that are easy but ultimately don't matter much, yes to distractions, yes to the path of least resistance, yes to every little demand on your time.
Then you never create the space or the need for that friendly strife, that resistance we talked about, the stuff that actually builds character.
Exactly. Saying no becomes an act of internal leadership. You're choosing the long-term project, building value, strengthening your character over the short-term buzz of being busy or comfortable.
So you're saying no to just managing the inventory of your day and yes to actually leading your own development.
That's the idea. And it underlines that this isn't about some huge dramatic gesture. It's about those tiny, conscious choices every day.
Like the sources remind us, extraordinary results come from taking ordinary steps every day in the right direction. Baby steps move mountains.
Yeah, that long view we want. It's built one small, intentional no at a time, one small step towards value.
Okay, this ties it all together nicely. We've talked about the long view, the eternal perspective. We've talked about seeing resistance as training like a sparring partner, and the power of internal leadership through small choices.
The final challenge is, how do you bring that huge, potentially abstract, eternal perspective right back down to earth? Right here, right now, today.
We still live in the tent, the glass is still around us, even if we know it's temporary. How do we ground ourselves practically?
By choosing how you respond to this moment, whatever it holds, however difficult it feels, responding with awareness and maybe even gratitude.
Gratitude for the difficulty.
Gratitude for the opportunity it represents. The sources offer this really potent grounding tool, spanning languages. Say grace aquí y ahora.
Say grace here and now.
Exactly. Say grace here and now. It's a conscious act.
It reframes the struggle right in the moment, doesn't it? It shifts it from something you resent to something you can potentially appreciate as the training ground it actually is.
It's choosing to lead with value, right here, right now, even when that glass feels totally shattered.
Okay, so let's try to synthesize this for everyone listening. The long view, that eternal perspective, helps us accept that our current circumstances, the job, the problem, the success, are like the temporary glass or tent.
Right. And that perspective lets us embrace the sparring partner, the challenge, not as a disaster, but as necessary training for our character.
And this training pushes us to focus on building real value, that enduring character, through the small, intentional choices we make every day, the baby steps of leading ourselves.
That's a great summary. It captures how you hold both, seeing the short-term difficulty clearly, but never losing sight of that long-term purpose.
It allows you to see short and long, like Harvey said.
Exactly. So maybe a final thought for you to take away, something to chew on as you face whatever challenges come up today.
Okay.
We've established that struggle, hardship, even death itself, it's like the destruction of the temporary glass, right?
Yeah.
But it's not the destruction of the I, your core self, your character.
If that's true. If the circumstances are temporary but the character endures.
Then ask yourself this. What is the single lasting quality or contribution? Maybe it's resilience, maybe it's compassion, maybe integrity that you should focus on developing today. Something that will remain no matter what temporary tent you're in or what glass breaks. Focus on cultivating that lasting trait. And if you do that, you'll find you've already started leading your life with a long view.